Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
Alright, and welcome to the GSMc Basketball Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMc Podcast Network, and I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, it's May 2nd, it is Wednesday, and we're currently in the second round of the NBA playoffs. Let's see what else is going on. That's pretty much all, that's it. Oh yeah, and Toronto's still blowing pretty much leads. Pretty much just shrinking when it comes down to it. I mean, I don't know what it is, but this team just refuses to close it out when it comes to the Cavs. All right, so, I mean, we're going to be talking about that for the first segment. I mean, if you were watching that game yesterday, it's just, I don't know how Toronto does it year after year after year, but nonetheless, they do. All right, so we're going to be talking about that for segment one. I mean, I still have no words, okay? Second segment, we're going to be talking Celtics versus Philly game one. Oh, what a surprise that was. I mean, I almost had Philly winning that game, especially with no Jaylen Brown. But nonetheless, Boston came out and just dominated from start to finish. All right, so we're going to be talking about that. Third segment, we got Warriors versus Pelicans yesterday, which was Tuesday. So we're going to be talking about that game. I mean, Warriors might as well be the best team of all time. All right, so I'm going to get my thoughts on that. And then for the fourth segment, we got Houston versus Utah going on tonight. And we got Boston versus Philly tomorrow. And then Toronto versus Cleveland tomorrow. So we'll be making my picks for those games. And then talking about anything else going on in the world of basketball. All right. And, I mean, these NBA playoffs have been pretty entertaining, haven't they? At least I would say so. I feel like I've enjoyed them quite a bit. So let's talk more about them, all right? Like I said, first up, we got Cavs versus Raptors. And, I mean, going into this game, if you saw how the Cavs played round one, you figured, yeah, they're not too good of a team, okay? I understand they got that LeBron guy, but nonetheless, they didn't play well at all. And Toronto played a whole lot better than they did, all right? And we both figure that, I mean, Toronto's got the better team, which they do. All right, for those of you that think the Cavs have the better team, no. They have the best player. Okay, we're talking team. The Cavs, other than LeBron James, stink. Okay, the Raptors actually have a decent team. But nonetheless, I mean, the Raptors taught us that did matter in game one. Cavs won this one 113-112 in overtime. Let's see, for the Cavs, you had LeBron, who had 26 points, 2 blocks, 13 assists, 11 rebounds. Shot 12 of 30, 1 of 8 from the three-point line. Not great there. Kevin Love continued to play poorly. 7 points, 13 rebounds. Shot 3 of 13 from the field, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Had finished with 5 fouls in this one and 2 turnovers. George Hill, he had 4 points, 3 assists. Shot 2 of 7 in 28 minutes. Kyle Korver, who has been the Cavs' second-best player so far in the playoffs, he had 19 points, 2 rebounds, shot 7 of 17, 5 of 12 from the three-point line. J.R. Smith had 20 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 6 of 11, 5 of 6 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Jeff Green, who played well. 16 points, 2 steals, 1 block, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. Shot 4 of 4, 1 of 1 from the three-point line. Also got to the free throw line 8 times, hit 7 of those. And then you had Tristan Thompson, who started in Game 7, but did not get the start in this one, but nonetheless played the second most minutes off the bench, 2 less than Jeff Green with 26 minutes here. He had 14 points, 12 rebounds, shot 5 of 8 there, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. All right, and as for the guys that the Cavs traded for, all right, like I said, George Hill had 4 points, 3 assists, shot 2 of 7. Jordan Clarkson played 12 minutes off the bench, went 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 2 from the three-point line, finished the game with 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, was a -6 when he was out there. Rodney Hood played 16 minutes, was 1 of 5 from the field, had 1 rebound, 2 points. All right. And then Larry Nance did not play. Did not play 1 minute of this game. Okay. And I'm not going to go out and say, oh, yeah, Cavs lost those trades and all that. But, I mean, these guys aren't contributing at all. If anything, it's like 3 wasted spots there. At least Nance didn't play. But nonetheless, for the Raptors, you had Serge Ibaka with 9 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 3 of 8. OG Anunoby. Is it Anunoby? Or how do you say it? Anunoby? Either way, OG had 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 3 of 5. Was given the task of guarding LeBron James. If you forget LeBron James' stats as far as shooting, LeBron went 12 of 30, 1 of 8 from the 3-point line. All right. OG did pretty well. And I was watching yesterday. He was playing up on LeBron, playing tough on him. And like I said, I mean, LeBron really, you could tell he's frustrating him a bit. LeBron did still put up 30, but nonetheless, or 26, I should say, so nearly 30, but nonetheless, it wasn't like a dominant 26 or anything like that. Jonas Valanciunas had 21 points, 21 rebounds, shot 7 of 19. Dude's been a beast all playoffs long. Kyle Lowry had 18 points, 10 assists, shot 6 of 12, 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. DeMar DeRozan had 22 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 10 of 20, 0 of 4 from the 3-point line. Then you had Siakam with 11 points, shot 4 of 5, 1 of 1 from the 3-point line. CJ Miles had 6 points in this one, 5 rebounds, shot 2 of 6, 2 of 3 from the 3-point line. And then you had Fred VanVleet with 9 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 2 of 7, 1 of 5 from the 3-point line. All right. And like I said, Cavs ended up winning this one, 113 to 112 in overtime. All right. And, I mean, watching this game, okay, like I said, going into the series, Toronto was the best team. Okay. Cavs looked terrible against the Pacers. I forgot who they played, but yeah, they looked terrible against the Pacers, which LeBron was the only reason why they made it out. Raptors actually looked all right against the Wizards. So, going into the series, yeah, I picked the Raptors to win in 6. Figured they'd win game 1. Okay? But nonetheless, they did it again. They choked. Okay? I've been talking with Tate about the playoffs all month long and all that. And Toronto's always been an interesting topic of discussion because of the fact that, yeah, Toronto is good. Tate's been telling me that you can't really hang the last few years on them or anything like that. It's a new year. And you know what? I was trying to believe it. Yeah, it's a new year. Made sense. All right, they look better. Probably the best team they've had in a while. And what do? When I picked them to win in 6, they blow it in the last couple of minutes of the game. Okay? I believe they finished the game missing 15 out of their last 16 shots. That doesn't sound too good to me, does it? No, it does not. All right? And, I mean, it's not like Toronto played bad or anything like that for the game. They were in the driver's seat for the most part. I mean, you had Kyle Lowry, who had 18 points, 10 assists, shot 6 of 12, 3 of 6 from the 3-point line. Then DeMar DeRozan shot 10 of 20, had 22 points, 7 assists, or actually 7 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, they played well. And maybe it was just a matter of they didn't play well enough. I mean, I don't get how you're in the driver's seat for the entire game, and then when it comes to crunch time, your team just folds. How do you miss 15 out of your last 16 shots? Honestly, that's honestly kind of impressive. Okay? And with this Raptors team, I mean, this was the game you needed to win. All right? The series isn't over or anything like that. It's still anyone's series. I mean, I still got the Raptors winning it in 6. But nonetheless, I mean, how do you let this happen? Okay? Because Kevin Love played poorly. Pretty much everyone that they traded for played poorly. It was just J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, and then Jeff Green, and then Tristan Thompson, who pretty much played all right. And Toronto just simply couldn't get it done. I mean, you're watching it, okay? This is one thing I love about social media, too, is you're watching it, but you're watching the game with them. And everyone's like, oh, no, they're doing it again. It's happening again. The Raptors are doing it. All right? And if you're a Raptors fan, I mean, good luck. How have you sat pretty much watching this team since they were a team, honestly? and watch them just blow it like this. I don't understand what it is. Maybe it's just when DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry see LeBron James, they freeze. Like, I have no clue. Okay? One of the funny parts, though, of the game was when Fred VanVleet, he got bumped by LeBron James. He tries to walk at him, and then Raptors players are holding him back. LeBron sees him and walks toward him, and it's like, Fred VanVleet definitely didn't want any part of LeBron there. But, like, getting back to the game itself, I mean, like I said, Raptors are blowing them out in the first quarter, still up after the first half, and it was like the Cavs were trying to come back the entire time. But the Raptors really were hitting the shot where it's like, yeah, they're making a run, but we hit the shot here, it's going to stop the run. And that's what they were doing the entire game. But for some reason, when it came down to crunch time, this team really had no answer as to how to hit a basket, how to make a basket. Okay? And I say that winning game 1 was very important for the Raptors because now it's a matter of game 2 is not a must win, but let's say you go into Cleveland down 2-0. You're at best coming back 3-1 probably. 2-2 if you absolutely play out of your mind. But in reality, best case scenario I think would be 3-1. All right? And you're probably losing Cleveland in game 5. Or actually game whatever. Actually, they're playing. You come back to Toronto. Well, I guess they come out of Cleveland 3-1. I got it all mixed up. I forget that the Cavs were really bad this year and finished as the 4th seed. But you go back to Toronto down 3-1. I mean, you can get it to 3-2, but it's a matter of game 6. You're 3-2 against the Cavs. That's not looking good. Okay? So I think it's not a must-win for game 2, but if they want to give themselves the best possible chance to win this series, you got to win it. Okay? Going into Cleveland down 2-0 is less than ideal. All right? Going down 2-0 into Cleveland is just like, series is basically over, honestly. If Cleveland gets one win in Cleveland, which they will. I'm not really doubting that at all. All right. And even then, so they go down 2-0. Okay. We always hear these professionals talk about the outside noise. We're the outside noise. The fans, the dudes who do the podcasts, all right, the women who do the podcasts, the analysts out there. Everyone is outside noise. I'm sure Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan have heard the outside noise. Pretty much, oh yes, yeah, we stink in the playoffs. That's the word around here. Okay. Going down 2-0 into Cleveland, you don't think Kyle Lowry's going to have that in the back of his mind? Oh, I got to play well. I got to prove these haters wrong. They're human just like the rest of us. Words hurt. All right. So if I'm Toronto, I'm doing everything I can to go into Cleveland tied 1-1. Because if you're down 2-0, I mean, it's not looking good at all. So we'll see. But like I said, I mean, Toronto had it in the bag, and they just simply missed 15 out of their last 16 shots and lost it. All right. Game 2 could be different, but who knows? It's just Toronto. You can't never tell with them. So we're going to wrap it up there. Next up, we're going to be talking Philly versus Boston game 1. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMc Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMcPodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMcPodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMc Basketball Podcast. So far, we've only done one segment and talked about the Cavs win in overtime against the Raptors. All right, for this segment, we're going to be talking Sixers Celtics and pretty much just talking about Scary Terry Rozier. All right, the dude's been a beast since Kyrie Irving went down and Rozier stepped up into the starting lineup. I mean, Celtics have some questions when this offseason comes about. All right. But I'm not going to get into that now. let's talk about the game itself. Since we recorded this podcast on Monday, we recorded it before the game happened and all that, so we didn't get a chance to talk about it. So now we're going to talk about it. All right, so we have the Celtics facing off with the Sixers for Game 1 of Round 2 of the Eastern Conference Semifinals in Boston on Monday. And Celtics won this one 117-101. For the Sixers, you had Dario Saric, who had 12 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 5-11, 0 of 4 from the three-point line. Robert Covington, I've talked about it a bit. His shooting has been borderline terrible this season, and he looked bad on Monday. He only had 3 points. Those points came from the free throw line, was 0 of 6 from the field, had 2 rebounds, 1 assist. I mean, it was just not great from him. Joel Embiid had 31 points, 5 assists, 13 rebounds, shot 12 of 21 from the field, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Ben Simmons had 18 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, had 7 rebounds, also shot 6 of 11, also had 7 turnovers in this one and 4 fouls. JJ Redick had 20 points, 3 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 7 of 13, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had Marco Bellinelli with 11 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, shot 3 of 9, 1 of 2 from the three-point line. And then Aaron Ilyasova had 6 points, 2 assists, 9 rebounds, shot 2 of 9 there. As for Markelle Fultz, no playing time for the rookie. All right. But for the Celtics, you had Al Horford with 26 points, 4 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 10 of 12, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. Guy was unstoppable on Monday. Philly really had no answer for him at all. I mean, it didn't matter if he was in a mid-range shot, didn't matter if he was driving in, didn't matter if he was posting up in the paint. He just simply couldn't miss, I feel. Jason Tatum played the most minutes out of anyone on the Celtics, played 40 minutes. He had 28 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 8 of 16 there, 1 of 5 from the three-point line. Aaron Baines got to start at center. He had 6 points, 6 rebounds, played 29 minutes. Marcus Smart got to start since Jaylen Brown was out in this one. Looking like Jaylen Brown could be out in the game 2 on Thursday, so we'll talk about that in a few moments. But nonetheless, Marcus Smart had 9 points, 1 steal, 9 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 3 of 12, 2 of 8 from the three-point line. And then you had Terry Rozier. Scary Terry. All right. He had 29 points, 1 block, 2 steals, 6 assists, 8 rebounds, shot 11 of 18, 7 of 9 from the three-point line. And when I say the Sixers had no answer for Al Horford, they definitely did not have an answer for Terry Rozier. The guy couldn't miss from the three-point line. Okay? Obviously, yeah, he missed twice, but in reality, you get what I'm saying. All right. The guy, I'm not sure really what Boston exactly has here in Terry Rozier, but it's looking like Terry Rozier could be a star. All right, possibly. And it's looking like Boston maybe should figure out what's going on with that Kyrie knee situation, and if it's something that's going to linger on for the rest of his career, maybe you make a phone call and maybe you see if you could trade Kyrie Irving out to somewhere else. Terry Rozier is looking like he's that good, and people are going to point, oh, he's only been doing it for the playoffs. It's a small sample size, but in reality, if you've been paying attention since Kyrie went out and pretty much all season long, Terry Rozier has been having the best year of his career. Okay? And now it's like you kind of realize maybe why Danny Ainge held on to him so long. I mean, there was one point where they could just all they had to do was give him up, and they could have got Jimmy Butler, and Danny Ainge refused. Okay? And it'd be kind of, now I'm thinking about it, I mean, Danny Ainge held on to him for so long. For Terry Rozier to get this good and then you finally let go of him, trade him somewhere else would be kind of weird and kind of against what they've done. So we'll see. But the Celtics do have some questions on their hands arising when this offseason comes because of the fact of how well Terry Rozier has played. All right. But nonetheless, off the bench, you had Semi Ojeleye, who was given the task of when he was out there to guard Ben Simmons. Did pretty well, I guess. I mean, he finished the game off the bench with a plus 11 as far as his plus minus. He had 3 points and then shot 1 of 4 there. Marcus Morris had 11 points, 5 rebounds, shot 5 of 12. And then you had Shane Larkin, who had 5 points, shot 1 of 6 from the field, 1 of 1 from the three-point line, had 3 rebounds, 4 assists there. All right. And with the Celtics in this game, I mean, it was a matter of going into it. If you remember on Monday, I made my pick, and I said if Jaylen Brown's not playing, then I got Philly. Jaylen Brown didn't play, and Philly didn't come close in this game. Okay? Pretty much dominated from start to finish. And with Brad Stevens, it seemed like he decided to drop the game plan of having Horford guard Simmons, having Smart guard Simmons a few times, and having Ojeleye guard Simmons. 3 of Boston's best defenders guarded Ben Simmons in that one. Okay, like I said, Simmons finished with 7 turnovers and 4 fouls. Yes, he finished with 18 points. I think it was, 6 assists, 7 rebounds. But nonetheless, I mean, you could tell in that game, even though he did have a nice box score, he wasn't really as good as he was in the Miami series. Okay, you could tell there was something kind of off with him. First half he did look pretty bad. Second half he did turn it up a bit more. All right, but with Ben Simmons not really playing as best as he can, you saw that affect guys like Dario Saric and Marco Bellinelli. Okay, and Saric, I mean, in that first quarter was a beast, grabbing every offensive rebound. It seemed like he could. But nonetheless, I mean, throughout the game, you saw with Ben Simmons being limited, that limits guys like Saric and Bellinelli, and then even Ilyasova, because of the fact that they need Simmons to pretty much help create their shot. All right, those aren't guys who can go out and get their own shot. Simmons needs to set them up. So with Simmons playing poorly, it kind of makes the rest of the Sixers play poorly, which in a way is kind of what contributed to the Celtics dominating so much in this game. All right. And with the Celtics, I mean, it seemed like maybe it was just bad defense the entire game, but they had no answer for Jason Tatum or Terry Rozier, like, at all. Didn't matter who you put on them. Didn't matter what kind of defense you tried to run. It wasn't going to work out. All right, and with the Sixers, there's the excuse of they had too much rest, so that's why they came out rusty. But, I mean, I don't really put too much stock into that because that seemed to be the theme after the game for them. I don't really put too much into that because of the fact that let's say that Sixers come out hot and they beat the Celtics by 15 or however much, or 16 like the Celtics beat them. You're going to hear, oh yeah, the rest was very beneficial to us. All right, it was good to get rested up and pretty much get our bodies ready for this game. So in reality, I mean, yeah, if you come out rusty, you're going to blame it on the rest. You come out and play well, you're going to blame it on the rest. All right, so I don't really put too much into that. If anything, it's just Philly wasn't ready to play and Boston was. All right, rest, no rest, doesn't matter to me. And as far as the series goes, I mean, it's not like the series is over or anything like that. It's just one game here. Okay? But I will say this. Boston did surprise me. And one thing with Boston playing as well as they did, I mean, going into the series, it was more so Philly's going to win it, and everyone was writing Boston off. Okay? Same way most did when it was announced Kyrie Irving would be out for the rest of the year and would be playing in the Milwaukee series. But for this one, it's a matter of, this was a big win for Boston because of the fact that it shows everyone that, you know what, this is going to be a series. I got Boston winning in 7. Okay? At one point, I did want to pick Philly. I almost switched over to Philly in that segment on Monday. But, I mean, Boston played well here. And if they don't get Jaylen Brown back for Game 2, I think that is going to hurt them more so than it would have in Game 1. All right, because Game 2, I do think Philly's going to come out and play a whole lot better than what they did in Game 1. And I do think that Philly probably is going to end up, I don't know if I'm picking Philly for Game 2 or if I'm picking Boston for Game 2. Because of the fact that I do have it in my mind that Philly's going to come out and they're going to play a whole lot better, okay? Philly's not getting beat by double digits in this game. It's just a matter of, can Terry Rozier, can Jason Tatum, and can Al Horford come out and produce the same type of game that they had in Game 1, okay? And with the Celtics, it's not just Jason Tatum or Terry Rozier, but Al Horford's the most important player on that team right now. Okay? Yeah, Tatum is probably, I wouldn't say Tatum is better, but he's more flashier with the scoring and all that. But with Horford, it's a matter of, if he's not getting his shots up and not putting up 20 points in the game, they're probably not going to win. Okay? And I'm not saying he's got to put up 20 every game, like 15 and 20 would suffice, but it's a matter of Al Horford's got to play well in order for this Celtics team to win. Okay? This Celtics team, whether they win or lose, it solely rides on Al Horford, I feel. Doesn't matter what Tatum or Rozier do. If Horford's not playing well, then they really don't have a chance because Horford does a whole lot more rather than just put up points for that team. In a way, he's a facilitator there too. All right, so I'm very curious to see how Game 2 ends up. I mean, Philly's got to come out and play well, okay, because they were using that whole, we had too much rest, that's why we were resty excuse a whole lot after the game. Okay? They don't come out and play well Game 2 and they end up losing. This series could be over before it starts. All right? And I do think that Philly's going to come out and play a whole lot better, but it's just a matter of they have no choice, really. Because like I said, if they don't, then it's not looking good for them. All right? But I think first team to win a road game, actually, I don't want to say first team, but let's say that Philly gets a Game 5 in Boston, or maybe let's say that Boston wins game 2 and they end up getting games 3 or games 4 against Philly and come back to Boston up 3-1. Then series is over if Philly ends up getting game 2 and they end up, going back to Boston tied 2-2, then I like Philly's chances. So we'll see, but it's kind of like first team to win a road game wins, but I'm not really there yet. All right, so we'll see how each team pretty much comes up and plays for game 2. Like I said, Jaylen Brown might be out for that game, and if he is, then Tatum, Bruzier, and Horford basically got to have their same game, so we'll see. And as far as Philly go, I mean, Ben Simmons got to figure out a way to be more effective, all right? I understand that, yeah, it's your first game in Boston, and playing in Boston in the playoffs is tough, but if he didn't play well, neither did Sarge, Bellinelli, or Ilyasova, so we'll see what they got going on, but we're going to actually wrap it up there. Next up, we're going to be talking Golden State versus New Orleans, give my thoughts on that game, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMc MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMcpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMc Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked about Cleveland and Toronto's Game 1 from Tuesday, Boston and Philly's Game 1 from Monday, and then now we're going to be talking about New Orleans and the Warriors Game 2 from Tuesday. All right, and I mean, Pelicans tried their best, but it was a matter of Warriors are just like too good right now. I'm not really sure what it is about the Warriors, but they just can't be beaten, I feel. All right, so they ended up beating the Pelicans 121-116. For the Pelicans, you had Mirotic with 18 points, 2 steals, 9 rebounds, shot 7-16, 3 of 8 from the three-point line. Anthony Davis had 25 points, 3 blocks, 2 steals, 5 assists, 15 rebounds, shot 12 of 24 there. Etuan Moore had 14 points, 2 rebounds, shot 5 of 13, 4 of 8 from the three-point line. Rajon Rondo had 22 points, 12 assists, 5 steals, 7 rebounds, shot 8 of 15, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. And then you had Drew Holiday, who played better than what he did in Game 1, but still didn't shoot the ball relatively well. Was 11 of 24 from the field, 2 of 9 from the three-point line, had 24 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. And then off the bench, you had Darius Miller with 5 points there, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 1 of 3. Solomon Hill played had played the second most minutes off the bench, had shot 1 of 6, 0 of 3 from the three-point line, had 2 points. And then Ian Clark only played 6 minutes in this one. He had 2 points there, shot 1 of 2. With Ian Clark, I mean, I feel like that was New Orleans' best bench player all year long. And it's just kind of weird for me to see that he's not really playing too much. So we'll see maybe if Alvin Gentry maybe makes a couple of different moves. Who knows? But for the Warriors, you had Draymond Green with 20 points, 2 blocks, 12 assists, 9 rebounds, shot 7 of 11, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Andre Iguodala had 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 assists, shot 5 of 8, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. Kevin Durant had 29 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, had 3 blocks and 2 steals there. Shot 11 of 23, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. Nick Young got another start in this one. Had 3 points, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Classic Nick Young game there. Klay Thompson didn't play well at all in this one. Had 10 points, 6 rebounds, shot 4 of 20, 2 of 11 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had David West with 4 points. Kevin Looney with 8 points, 8 rebounds, shot 3 of 3, was a +7. And then Steph Curry came back in this one. First game back in what seemed like, a month and a half, I feel. Played 27 minutes, I should say. Yeah, so he played 27 minutes, had 28 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 8 of 15, and 5 of 10 from the three-point line. Okay. The highest plus-minus for the Warriors starting 5 was Draymond Green. I believe he was a +6. Then you got Kevin Looney, who was a +7 off the bench. All right, Steph Curry had the best plus-minus, and he was a +26. Okay. When he came out there, when he was out there, you couldn't do anything against the Warriors. Simply unstoppable. All right. He's one of the biggest reasons why they won the game. I'm sure if Steph Curry doesn't play, Pelicans win this one pretty easily. Okay. I mean, Klay wasn't playing well. Nick Young didn't play well. But nonetheless, you got Steph Curry out there, KD, Draymond doing their thing. No problem whatsoever. All right. Steph Curry was the difference in this game. Game 1, he wouldn't have mattered because the Pelicans didn't play well at all. But this one, the Pelicans came out and they were ready to go. And as soon as Steph Curry came out there, you knew what was going to happen. All right. This guy missed about 6 weeks and didn't miss a beat. It is ridiculous how well the guy shoots the ball there. Okay. And I guess now it's just a matter of what the Pelicans can do in Games 3 and Games 4. It's just honestly kind of ridiculous to see the Pelicans play so well in the first round. Okay, you could argue that they were the best they played the best basketball to any team, East or West, in the playoffs for the first round. People might say the Warriors, but at one point on a given day, the Spurs were the better team when they won. Okay, the Warriors finished that series 4-1. There was no day in any point of that series where the Trailblazers were better than the Pelicans. Maybe the Trailblazers won a half at one point. But as far as game by game, Pelicans by far dominated each game. All right. And if you're the Pelicans, you're using that going into the series, excited. Okay. You don't play well game 1. Sure, you lose. Game 2, you play about as well as you can, and you still lose. This is one of those where it's like Pelicans are starting to realize, yeah, maybe this isn't the series for us. Okay. Going into the series, if you remember, I was talking about the fact that maybe the Pelicans, and this was before it started and all that, before we knew when Steph was coming back, maybe the Pelicans can get a game or two in the first 2 since Steph is probably going to be out. When he comes back, I mean, sure, it's going to be a different game, and Pelicans are going to lose in the series, but maybe they could push it to 6 games. Doesn't look like that's happening. All right? Does not matter how well the Pelicans have played. It looks like they're probably going to end up losing in 5. And that was my pick. It was Warriors in 5, I believe. Okay? I think that was a pick I made on Monday. But nonetheless, I mean, now it's just a matter of Pelicans probably got to win both games in New Orleans. If they lose, series is over in 5, I think. I don't think they can get a win at Oracle. All right, going back down 3-1 to Oracle is kind of just like your death sentence for the series. I mean, in reality, you have no shot whatsoever to pull out the win. Okay? And, I mean, as far as the Warriors go, looked great in round 1. Look even better in round 2. Do you guys really think that the Rockets have a chance to beat the Warriors? Okay? Like, do you? In the back of you, like, just think about it for a sec. All right? How the Rockets have played, how the Warriors have played. Do you really think that the Rockets can beat the Warriors? Okay? And I don't care what the regular season record or anything like that it was or anything like that, because regular season doesn't matter at this point. Okay? Don't tell me, oh, the Rockets did this in this game, or oh, the Warriors did this here. Like, who do you think could win? And if you think it's the Rockets, I think I got bad news for you, man. I mean, the Warriors are just that good right now. Okay? And I'm at the point where it's like, why don't we just shut down the rest of the playoffs? Just given how the Warriors have played. I mean, what's the point of even making it go to the finals? Because we know if the Warriors are playing in the finals, any team they play out of the East, whether it be the Celtics, the Sixers, Raptors, or Cavs, they're all getting swept. Okay? The Cavs definitely aren't getting a game against the Warriors because of the fact that LeBron's not going to be able to do the whole, I'm going to score 50 points and lead our team to victory. Like, that's not going to happen at all. All right? Raptors could get a game, maybe 2, maybe. Like a game for sure, I think. Second one being a little tough. Sixers, I think they'd be like the Celtics. They'd probably get like a game, but probably lose in 5. I mean, the Celtics against the Warriors in the finals would be pretty much just, you need Terry Rozier, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford to play well. Maybe you see what Gordon Hayward's doing. Maybe he can come back for the finals. I don't know. But either way, given the Warriors, the way they've played, I mean, it's gotta be tough if you're another team watching them. All right. One thing I've noticed is Steve Kerr is not playing a center. Completely got away from that. All right. And with given like how well the Warriors have been, I mean, they're probably the best team of all time. Okay. And people are going to always discredit Steve Kerr because of the fact that he's coaching a team with 2 top 5 players. And technically, if you want to include them all, Green, Thompson, Curry, and Durant, those are 4 top 20 players in the league. People are always going to try and discredit what he does, but the fact of the matter is, I mean, him taking out a center kind of just lets Anthony Davis do his own thing, but forces guys like Mirotic and all those other guys that play smaller, and that's affecting him. The Pelicans are a team who needs to play with size, and it's not working out. And I'm sure if you had a Boogie Cousins out here, you'd probably be seeing Kerr play with the center, but now it's just a matter of Pelicans can't deal with the small ball. All right? And I have no problem with Kerr not playing McGee or Pachulia because I feel like Pachulia probably hurts the team more than he helps it. And with McGee, yeah, he'll put up some productive numbers, but it's only going to be for about 15 minutes. So what's the point of even having him out there anyway if he's not going to play too much? All right? So I do think we need to put some respect with Steve Kerr here because of the fact that he is coaching this team really well. And I mean, even coaching a team like this, you got to deal with a bunch of different egos, okay? These guys have won 2 out of the last 3 years. Probably going to make it 3 out of the last 4 years with this season. All right? And doing that is tough. Phil Jackson had to manage the Eagles of Jordan, Pippen, and all those guys. Pat Riley with the Showtime Lakers. Okay? Red Auerbach with the Celtics. I mean, it's not easy. And we do have a dynasty here building with Golden State. They get this 3rd title. It's not just that, but it's 3 out of the last 4. That's a dynasty. And then we're maybe talking about Steph Curry being one of the better point guards of all time. Top 5 for sure. Already one of the best shooters. I mean, there's going to be a lot that comes from this. So we'll see if anyone can beat the Warriors. I mean, the Rockets are a team that comes to mind, but I just don't see it happening. So we'll see. But we're actually going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about Rockets Jazz tonight, making my picks, also making my picks for the 2 games tomorrow, and pretty much talking about anything else going on in the world of basketball. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMc Basketball Podcast. So far today, we've talked Sixers, Celtics, we've talked Cavs, Raptors, and we've talked Warriors, Pelicans. All right. And for this segment, as we always do, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of basketball. So let's do that. All right, so the Thunder GM came out and said that Billy Donovan is going to return and be the head coach of the Thunder this season, this upcoming season, and I feel like, yeah, of course he is. I don't, people are probably going to try and shift the blame to Billy Donovan, but in reality, I mean, no one could have won with that team, okay? That was doomed from the start. I mean, how do you expect... And maybe they're just blind to the fact that Russell Westbrook plays a certain way and that's never going to change. Like, Russell Westbrook isn't a guy you build a team around. Okay? He's just simply not. Given his ability and all that, that's fine. Carmelo Anthony once had great ability and all that. You just don't build teams around those guys. Because of the fact that they all play a certain way and they're never going to change that. Okay? Westbrook is a guy where he's going to want the ball in his hands about 20 to 22 seconds of the shot clock. Okay? And when he dishes it out to you, it's pretty much you got to take the shot and that's it. There's no flow with the Thunder offense. Okay? And maybe that is a bit Billy Donovan's fault because of the fact that you're the coach, so you got to fix that. But it's a matter of, you really think that him telling Russell Westbrook anything is going to change it? I feel like Russell Westbrook pretty much just listens to himself and will pretty much just do his own thing. You think Melo seems like a guy who's really open to change? Every time the guy gets asked about a bench role, he acts like he's one of the top 5 players in the league. And as far as Paul George goes, I mean, he's as good as gone, to be honest, I think. I mean, there is a chance that the Thunder end up bringing him back. Well, they're going to try to. It's a matter of whether or not Paul George wants to be back. But if I'm him, I mean, you saw how the season went this year. Why is next year going to be any different? Like, how are you going to expect Carmelo Anthony to get better when he played about as poorly as you could this season? Okay, you think Russell Westbrook's going to change the way he plays? Because that's what it comes down to it. It could work, okay? But it's a matter of Westbrook changing the way that he plays and Melo pretty much changing his mindset. Okay, because I'm not sure really who's in Melo's corner, but whoever's telling him, like, yeah, you're still one of the best, needs to maybe bring him back down to reality. Okay, yeah, at one point, Melo was one of the best scorers in the league. But now it's a matter of Melo, at least from this year, isn't. So we'll see. But as far as the whole GM announcing, yeah, Billy Donovan's going to be back, I mean, if anything, a GM needs to look to himself and realize that, yeah, we didn't do a great job here. Okay? They didn't. It just didn't work. And I'm sure they're hoping that Melo decides not to opt into his deal and test free agency, but that's not going to happen. And I know they want Paul George back, but that's most likely not going to happen. I mean, if you're Paul George, Lakers got something special brewing. Thunder are not going to be winning the West anytime soon. Both are going to be losing to the Warriors and Rockets probably for the next couple of years. Would you rather do that in Oklahoma City? Or would you rather do that back in your hometown of Los Angeles? Okay. Paul George goes back to Oklahoma City, man. They got to have some other move cooked up their sleeve because there's no way I'm going back and we're just going to try and test out this whole Melo and Westbrook thing one more time. All right, because that is not going to be the case. So we'll see what's going on with the Thunder next season, but they do need to build up their bench a little bit more. Bench was pretty weak this season. I know people were saying that Roberson was a big subtraction this year with him being out, was something that hurt the team, and I believe it, but I mean, I don't really think Roberson's going to affect the wins and losses of next season given how they shot this season. All right. I mean, just pretty much you got to get Russell Westbrook to actually run an actual offense, and you got Melo to really take a lesser role. So we'll see if they do that, but let's see anything else going on in the NBA. We got Charles Barkley on Inside the NBA on TNT pretty much saying that, well, he did say that he hopes someone punches Draymond Green in his face. And, I mean, inside the NBA, they've always been allowed to say whatever they want pretty much. Like, they've always tested that line. Always been entertaining, and that's one of the reasons why. It's kind of just been Kenny Smith, Shaq, and Charles Barkley say whatever they want. And then you got Ernie Johnson pretty much playing the moderator, I should say. Pretty much just trying to keep him in line there. And, I mean, with Charles Barkley going out saying that he hopes someone punches Draymond Green in the face, I mean, you can't say that, can you? All right? I mean, there's a point where, yeah, it's cool to have fun, but in a way, you do got to be professional too. Okay? I can't go on this podcast and say, oh, I want someone to punch Zaza Pachulia in the face, because I'd get in trouble for that. All right? Charles Barkley going out and saying he hopes someone punches Draymond Green in the face. I mean, That's not the smartest thing to do there. All right? Like Charles Barkley's not going to get fired or anything like that. If anything, nothing's going to come from it. I mean, because it's not like, I don't know, it's just weird seeing Draymond Green and Charles Barkley feud. And I mean, Charles Barkley's always had his problems with these new NBA players. I mean, at one point it was LeBron, now it's Draymond Green. I'm sure he's had problems with other players too. I don't know why, but nonetheless, maybe it's just one of those things where it's like the older generation of players just don't like how this newer generation acts, and maybe it just frustrates them that way. Maybe they get mad at the fact that they're starting to realize that, yeah, this new era of basketball is better than the older era. All right? And I do think that these players are better than what the 90s had or even the 80s. All right, I'm not talking about as far as Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, all those guys. Those guys are great. Those are all-time great players. Still better than most in the league today. But nonetheless, just the players now from the bench to the other guys, I mean, they're all more athletic. They're all better players. Okay? And that's fine. And sometimes I think, too, with these older players not liking the younger players, it's just a matter of Steph Curry, for example. Okay, he'll drive in to the hoop, probably get untouched, will hit his shot. Okay? Back then, Steph Curry tries to do that. Let's say he does it against the Pistons. You got a nice elbow from Bill Laimbeer waiting for you at the rim. Okay? And I think, too, we're getting back to like the point of it right here, is that these players played in a much physical, those players played in a much more physical era. All right? There was punches, there was elbows, there was everything. And these players now, I mean, you breathe on a guy, it's a foul. Okay? You barely hit his wrist, it's a foul. The touch fouls. Okay? And I think that's one of the reasons why the older generation of players get so frustrated, angry with the newer generation, because now it's a lot less physical. But as far as Charles Barkley telling Draymond to shut that he wants to punch him in the face, I mean, there was a point where Charles Barkley eventually was going to say something like that, and he did. And I mean, inside the NBA, you can't have it both ways. It's either you let these guys pretty much be free in what they say, or you pretty much dial it back down all the way to the bottom and pretty much just have them like the guys on ESPN. All right, Jalen Rose, Chauncey Billups, Paul Pierce, those guys. I go to that. I watch that because of the fact that they're more insightful as far as their analysts and all that. Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Shaq, they're very entertaining. But it's like we've gotten to the point with Charles Barkley where whatever team, he's got like the Skip Bayless treatment. Whatever team he picks, you pick the other team always. All right? That's kind of been me this postseason, honestly. With Shaq's pretty insightful with the way he talks about the game. He does know what he's talking about. Kenny Smith does too for the most part, but it's more so they don't get into the deep details of the game, I feel. They're more so there to entertain, pretty much just make it a fun show to watch while it's halftime or right before the game. And I'm fine with that, too. I'm not trying to knock Inside the NBA. All right, I watch Inside the NBA and then ESPN's little pregame show and all that, halftime stuff, for different reasons. It's one, I mean, if I want to learn more about it, I'm going to go to ESPN. If I want to be entertained and laugh, I'm going to go to Inside the NBA. So I have no problems with either, like I said. It's just a matter of you can't have either or. It's either these guys just cross the line a couple of times and just be done with it, or you have them just pretty much be silent. So nothing's going to come from this, though. I mean, I don't know. If anything, it's like Charles Barkley and Draymond Green are basically the same player. And that's probably why they don't like each other. All right, they both got pretty bad attitudes and all that. Both don't really care about being well-liked or anything. And that's what we have here. All right. If anything, Draymond Green is probably a tiny bit less athletic Charles Barkley now. Charles Barkley, too, I mean, him being big and all that now just kind of makes you forget the athletic monster that he was when he was playing back then. All right. Charles Barkley could ball. Let's not forget that. All right. So let's see anything else going on in the world of basketball right now. I think that's pretty much it. Ty Lue said he's going to be sticking with Kevin Love as the starting center instead of Tristan Thompson. I mean, Tristan Thompson's played well the last two games. You got to give him another shot, don't you? I mean, Kevin Love is just looked borderline terrible. Just have LeBron run the point. Okay, have him play the one. JR at the 2 or 3 or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. You probably have JR at the 3 and Korver at the 2. Kevin Love at the 4 and then Tristan Thompson at the 5. I mean, that's probably the best lineup you could throw out there. Just have George Hill come off the bench. I mean, why not? Because those 4 guys you traded for, I mean, they're not really worth anything in the playoffs so far. Jeff Green's been kind of inconsistent. I feel like that's the best lineup you can run out there. So we'll see if Ty Lue, if he ends up changing his mind as the series goes, but, that's what I would do. And like I said, Jaylen Brown currently doubtful for Game 2, so we'll see what's going on there. But let's make my picks for tonight's games and then wrap it up. So we got Utah versus Houston tonight. I'm going to go with Houston. Utah looked good in round 1, but nonetheless, they're probably going to lose in 5 to Houston in this series. Tomorrow we got Cleveland versus Toronto. I'm going to go Cleveland in their game tomorrow. And then for Boston and Philly, I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Boston. All right, I'm going to say they pull out Game 2. And Philly more than likely could end up getting both games in Philly, so we'll see. But yeah, those are my picks. So we're going to wrap it up here. Today we talked pretty much Golden State versus New Orleans. We talked Boston versus Philly, Cleveland versus Toronto. And then for this segment, we talked about Charles Barkley, Billy Donovan, and made my picks for the games tonight and tomorrow. So thanks for listening to the GSMc Basketball Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. I'll be back on Friday to talk about pretty much the games tonight and the games tomorrow. So stay tuned till then, and I'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.